Have you ever had your heart broken so badly you didn't even recognize yourself in the mirror anymore? Have you ever felt a love so deep, a trust so complete, only to have it shattered into a million pieces by the one person you thought would never hurt you? If you know that pain, then you understand what Alex was feeling. If you love a tale of ultimate betrayal and the sweet, satisfying taste of payback, you are in the right place. Friend, you are going to want to see how this ends. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more stories like this, because what happens next, no one saw coming. Our story begins on a perfect sunny afternoon. The sky was a brilliant, clear blue, not a single cloud in sight. Birds were chirping happily in the big old oak tree that stood guard over Alex and Maya's cozy suburban house. Alex was a simple man, a carpenter by trade. He loved the feel of smooth wood, under his hands the smell of sawdust in the air. But more than anything, he loved his wife, Maya. He loved her smile, her laugh, the way her eyes crinkled when she was truly happy. He had built her a wooden swing that hung from the strongest branch of that oak tree, just because she loved to sit there and watch the sun dip below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. He thought they had the perfect life. He was wrong. The first change was so small, he almost missed it. It started with the late nights at work. Maya worked at a chic little boutique in town. She started saying the inventory was taking longer, that they were doing after-hours restocking. Then her phone, which used to lie casually on the coffee table, became her constant companion. It was always in her hand, always face down. She changed the passcode. When Alex, his voice gentle with concern, asked her about it one evening over meatloaf, she flinched. Then she got angry. "What, Alex? Don't you trust me? I need my space. You're suffocating me." The words felt like a slap. He apologized, confused, the cold knot of doubt tightening in his stomach for the very first time. But he loved her. He trusted her. He buried the feeling deep down. But the signs kept coming. She started dressing differently for her late nights, putting on more makeup, wearing the expensive perfume he'd bought her for their anniversary. She'd come home and shower immediately, the steam smelling of floral soap, washing the scent of the day away. Alex's heart ached. The house, once filled with their shared laughter, now felt cold and empty, even when she was in it. The silence between them was louder than any argument. The breaking point came on a gloomy, rain-soaked Tuesday. The rain wasn't a gentle sprinkle. It was a relentless, pounding downpour, drumming against the roof and blurring the windows. Alex was sanding a table leg in his garage workshop, trying to lose himself in the work, when his best friend since childhood, Jake, showed up unexpectedly. Jake's face was as gray as the stormy sky outside. He was soaking wet, water dripping from his jacket onto the concrete floor, but he didn't seem to notice. He couldn't even look Alex in the eye. "Jake? Buddy, what's wrong?" Alex asked, putting down his sander. Jake just shook his head, his jaw tight. He pulled out his phone, his fingers trembling slightly. He didn't speak. He just handed the phone to Alex. The screen showed a photo. It was a little blurry, taken from across a dimly lit restaurant, but the people in it were crystal clear. It was Maya. Her head was thrown back in a laugh Alex hadn't seen in months, a genuine, joyful laugh. And she was leaning across a small table, her fingers intertwined with those of another man. A man who was not Alex. His name was David, a smooth-talking, successful real estate agent from the next town over. Alex knew him by reputation. Flashy car, flashy smile. The world stopped. The sound of the rain faded into a dull roar in Alex's ears. He felt the garage floor tilt under his feet. He stared at the photo, at Maya's smiling face, at their joined hands. The truth, so ugly and final, hit him with the force of a physical blow. He stumbled back, leaning against his workbench for support. The woman he'd built a life with, the woman he'd trusted completely, was lying to him. She was cheating on him. The pain was unbearable. It was a raw, screaming agony in his chest. He wanted to smash something. He wanted to scream until his voice gave out. He saw Jake watching him, his own eyes filled with pity and anger. For a long moment, Alex just stood there, breathing raggedly. watching the rain streak down the garage, window like tears. But then something shifted. The initial hot wave of pain began to recede, and in its place, something else began to grow. Something cold, something hard, something determined. He wasn't going to be the victim. He wasn't going to cry and beg. She had stolen his trust, his love, his peace. She had taken the life he built and shattered it. And she would pay for it. He would make sure of it. He took a deep, shuddering breath and handed the phone back to Jake. His voice, when he finally spoke, was eerily calm. "Thanks, Jake. I need to handle this." He devised a plan. The next day, the sun was shining again, mocking his pain. He told Maya he'd landed a huge weekend-long carpentry job 2 states over. He packed his old duffel bag, kissed her on the cheek, a kiss that now felt like a lie, and pretended to drive away. His heart was a hammer in his chest. He didn't go far. He parked his dusty truck behind a thick cluster of trees a few streets over, his hands clenched on the steering wheel. He didn't have to wait long. Within the hour, a sleek silver sports car, David's car, pulled up to his house. His house. Maya practically skipped out the front door. She was wearing a little black dress he'd never seen before. Her hair was perfect. She slid into the passenger seat, leaning over to give David a quick kiss before he sped off. Alex followed them, his knuckles white on the wheel. They didn't go to a nice restaurant. They drove to a secluded fancy hotel on the outskirts of town, the kind with ivy crawling up the walls and valet parking. Alex watched from his truck, hidden in the shadows of the parking lot, as they walked. Inside, David's arm possessively around Maya's waist. He saw the light in a third-floor window flick on. He sat there for hours, as the sun set and the stars came out. He sat there in the dark, watching that window, each minute feeling like a lifetime. The image of them together in that room burned behind his eyes. But he didn't storm in. He didn't make a scene. He started the truck and drove away. The time for anger was over. Now was the time for action. He played his part perfectly. He came home Sunday night, acting tired but happy from his successful job. He even brought Maya a gift, a stupid, overpriced candle from a mall on the other side of town to sell the lie. He was the perfect, loving, clueless husband. All the while, he was quietly gathering his evidence. He went through old bank statements, his heart sinking lower with each page. He discovered she hadn't just been emotionally cheating. She had been financially cheating, too. She had been secretly draining their joint savings account, the account filled with money from his hard labor, his splinters and sore muscles. She was using his money to pay for fancy dinners, hotel rooms, and probably gifts for David. Then he discovered the twist, the piece of information that would make his revenge complete. David was married. His wife, Sarah, was a kind-faced woman who volunteered at the local animal shelter. Her social media was filled with pictures of rescue dogs and happy anniversary, posts about David, her wonderful husband. She had absolutely no idea her Prince Charming was a lying snake. Alex knew what he had to do. He needed to expose them. He needed to bring their dirty secrets into the brightest light possible, for everyone to see. He invited all of them to a dinner at the most elegant restaurant in the city, the Gilded Vine. He told Maya it was a surprise anniversary dinner, to rekindle their spark, and that he'd invited a potential business partner, David, and his wife, Sarah, to make it a double date. He called David, using his best, friendly client voice, and said he was interested in investing in property and would love to discuss it over a meal with him and his lovely wife. The night arrived. The restaurant was everything you'd imagine: crystal, chandeliers, soft violin music, white tablecloths, and the quiet clink of fine silverware. Maya looked beautiful but nervous, fiddling with her necklace. David looked smug and confident, already talking loudly about a new real estate deal. Sarah, a sweet-looking woman with gentle eyes, seemed happy to be there, completely unaware of the trap that was about to spring. They made awkward small talk. They ordered expensive food. Alex smiled and nodded, playing his part perfectly. Inside, his heart was racing, but his hands were steady. He waited for the moment between the main course and dessert. When the conversation had lulled, he took a slow sip of his water, placed the glass down, and stood up. He gently tapped his knife against the glass. The soft ting-ting-ting cut through the murmur of the restaurant. The whole table and the tables around them fell silent. All eyes were on him. He looked directly at Maya, his expression not angry, but deeply disappointed. The room was so quiet you could hear the violinist take a breath. "Maya, honey," he began, his voice calm and clear, carrying in the hushed room. "I know we've been through a rough patch. I thought this dinner at this beautiful place might help, and I got you an anniversary gift." He reached into the inner pocket of his jacket and pulled out not a jewelry box, but a folded stack of papers. He unfolded them slowly, dramatically. They were printed copies of the bank statements, with all the suspicious withdrawals highlighted in bright, glaring yellow. "See," he continued, holding them up so she and everyone at nearby tables could see the bank's logo. "It's a record of all the money you've been taking from our savings account. The account I filled with money from building cabinets and fixing tables. The money you've been spending on whatever this is." Maya's face drained of all color. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. "Alex, what are you?" she stammered, her voice a shaky whisper. But Alex wasn't done. He turned his gaze to David, whose smug smile had completely vanished, replaced by stunned confusion. "And David," Alex said, his voice turning colder, "I have a business proposition for you. How about you stop using my money, the money I earned, with these hands, to take my wife out on dates? How about you pay for your own hotel rooms from now on?" A collective gasp went up from the surrounding tables. David's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. He started to sputter. "Now listen here, you can't just..." Alex cut him off. He saved his final move for Sarah, who was looking back and forth between everyone, her sweet face a mask of utter confusion and dawning horror. "And Sarah," Alex said, his voice softening just for her. He felt a pang of guilt for her pain, but he knew she needed to know the truth. "I am so incredibly sorry that you had to find out like this, in front of all these people. But your husband, David, has been having an affair, for months, with my wife." He reached back into his pocket and pulled out the final piece of evidence. It was the photo Jake had shown him, now printed on a large piece of paper. He held it up for the entire restaurant to see. It showed Maya and David clear as day, holding hands across that restaurant table, looking into each other's eyes. The silence in the restaurant was absolutely deafening. It was a vacuum of sound. Then it broke. Sarah let out a choked, heart-wrenching sob, her hands flying to her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. She shoved her chair back, staring at David with pure betrayal. "You told me those late nights were for work," she cried, her voice breaking. Maya finally found her voice, and it was shrill with panic and fury. "Alex, you monster! How could you?" she screamed, jumping to her feet, her chair screeching backwards. She tried to grab the photo, but Alex held it high. David was frantically trying to calm down Sarah, who was now hysterical, and shush Maya, all while every single person in the restaurant was staring at him, their expressions a mix of disgust and morbid fascination. He was exposed, completely and utterly humiliated. Alex didn't yell back. He didn't scream. He had said everything he needed to say. He looked at the three of them, the crying wife, the screaming mistress, the utterly humiliated cheat. He felt a profound sense of calm. The revenge was complete. It was public. It was devastating. And it was perfectly, legally executed. He slowly placed the photo on the table in front of David. Then, without another word, he turned around. He walked calmly between the tables, past the stunned waiters and the gaping patrons, and pushed through the heavy doors of the restaurant out into the cool night air. He never looked back. The fallout was nuclear. Sarah filed for divorce the very next morning, and thanks to Alex's evidence, she took David for everything he was worth. The fancy car, the big house, half his business. His reputation was destroyed. No one wanted to buy a house from a known liar and cheat. Maya was exposed to everyone, her family, her friends, her co-workers. The shame was so intense she had to quit her job and move back in with her parents in another state, a social pariah. Alex. He filed for divorce on the grounds of adultery, which the judge granted immediately. He got the house, he got his money back, he even got the dog. A year later, he sold the house, the one with the oak tree and the swing, for a great profit. He used the money to start his own custom woodworking business, which quickly became a huge success because people respected his talent and his integrity. He took back his power without ever throwing a punch or raising his voice. He simply showed the world who they truly were, and in the end, he got the last silent laugh. And it was the most satisfying sound he had ever heard. If you think Alex's payback was the ultimate revenge, let us know in the comments below. What would you have done in his situation? Tell us your thoughts. And for more incredible stories of love, betrayal, and satisfying revenge, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Payback Stories, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the drama. Until next time, remember, sometimes the quietest revenge speaks the loudest.